It's time for Debrief, and this time, it's the first installment of our wrap-up of 2025.
2025, neighboring nations at war. That was the major theme of some of the biggest headlines this year. In this episode, we're looking back at what that looked like in Africa, Asia, and Latin America, with some commentary from our TRT World colleagues.
Summit, the second.
Wake up. Can call if you want. It might be okay.
Going to war. One of the biggest shocks of the year came out of Asia when the uneasy peace between two nuclear neighbors, India and Pakistan, was shattered in April. A small-town terror attack in Pahalgam, in Indian-administered Kashmir, killed dozens of tourists. It prompted a series of retaliatory strikes and a 4-day military confrontation in May.
Some breaking news, the Indian Army has launched attacks on sites in Pakistan and Pakistan-administered Kashmir.
India's government says it has carried out strikes on 9 different sites in Pakistan in what it calls Operation Sindoor. Multiple explosions in Muzaffarabad, the capital of Pakistan's administered Kashmir.
And another 2 cities in the province of Punjab, from where it claims attacks against India have been planned and directed.
Latest tension triggered by April 22nd attack in Pahalgam in the Indian-administered Kashmir.
Despite a fortnight having passed since the attacks, there has been no demonstrable step from Pakistan.
The attacks weren't against military installations, that they were essentially targeting alleged terrorist infrastructure, which is why they think that Pakistan should consider it perhaps as something which is non-escalatory in nature.
When you remove that those were civilian, normal, residential areas in all the places, then obviously the rest of the narrative just flies in the air.
Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, has given free hand to all the 3 defense chiefs, saying that they will only launch attacks on the terrorist facilities. They have not, launched any attack on the military facility in Pakistan.
We are concentrating and we are putting our fire only on the military targets.
Right, that's confusing because Pakistan earlier denied that it had fired rockets, drones, shells into Indian territory.
No, Pakistan, I'm talking about the line of control where the military posts from where the Indian military is taking on deliberate firing of the civilians. So there is small arms fire. Pakistan is not taking on the drones or rocket attacks, not at all, absolutely not at all.
As the world watches on, there seems to be no slowing down in what's the worst confrontation between the 2 countries in more than 2 decades.
The news sparked fears of another full-on war, especially for program editor Ahmed Reza, who is from Pakistan.
I mean, that day, the news itself was shocking. No one was expecting India to attack Pakistan. Why? Because both are nuclear powers. Nuclear powers never fight. They never fight. But it happened on May 7th. And when I came that day, we were waiting for how Pakistan is going to react. And then Pakistan reacted with again with unprecedented and massive strikes. And then every one of us in the newsroom was basically expecting this war is gonna last long. The biggest challenge, as I told you that day, was to be human first, then a journalist and a professional journalist, And I was supposed to take charge of the upcoming broadcasts. And it was a very different day for me as a journalist. Why? When it comes to India and Pakistan, I'm being Pakistani as a prog editor, it is now, it puts more burden on my shoulder as a journalist to strike balance, to keep objective in terms of our production and, give voice to both sides, We have to first calm down our emotions, in the newsroom, because this TRT World is like a mini United Nations. There are so many Indians, so many Pakistanis. So first we had to control, our emotions, and we had to keep our focus on that story and the balance. Balance was the must. Balance was the challenge that day, which we did. And thanks God that war only last 4 days.
Those weren't the only cross-border strikes in Asia. Just a few months later, there was another flare-up further east. In July, a long-time land dispute between Thailand and Cambodia boiled over. It even changed the shape of the nation's politics when Thai Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra was dismissed for having ties to Cambodia's former Prime Minister and defending Thai military leadership. It also led to a 5-day war that disrupted the lives of hundreds of thousands near the border.
Thailand and Cambodia have clashed on their border in a sharp escalation of a simmering conflict between the two countries.
In recent days, the two nations were already restricting trade and travel across the border, recalling diplomats, and downgrading relations.
Now we have escalated the measures to level 4, which involves the complete closure of all border checkpoints.
The two nations have been in a long-running border dispute that goes back over a century when maps were drawn up.
The Tam Wan Tom Temple, a historic site claimed by both nations, is normally what causes this friction.
The key watershed moment is in recent days, Thailand accused Cambodia of allegedly planting landmines on the border. Now, these landmines have actually injured Thai soldiers.
Both sides have blamed each other for starting the conflict and on Friday ratcheted up the rhetoric, with Thailand accusing Cambodia of deliberately targeting civilians. Phnom Penh hit back and Bangkok saying they had used cluster munitions.
The Thai forces are not attacking our military positions. They are attacking the positions where civilians live, and they're living in fear of attacks from the Thais.
Now, the battles are happening in multiple places along the border. The acting Thai Prime Minister says the military escalation could develop into war.
Well, the attacks have forced tens of thousands of people to seek refuge. Thailand's health ministry says more than 58,000 have fled from villages to temporary shelters, while Cambodian authorities say more than 4,000 people have evacuated from areas near the border.
Thailand and Cambodia have agreed in principle to a ceasefire deal brokered by Malaysia. It remains uncertain whether this ceasefire will be implemented.
But that wasn't the end of it, despite U.S. involvement in the deal. Not long after they'd agreed to end the strikes, both sides started accusing each other of violations. And by December, they were at war again. The world's attention also turned to Africa this year after major developments in Sudan's 2-year civil war turned into a humanitarian nightmare. As the year opened, the army managed to push the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, or RSF, out of remaining strongholds in the capital, Khartoum, followed by months of gains and losses that weren't easy to track, until things took a turn in the Darfur region in October.
Sudan's paramilitary Rapid Support Forces claim to have captured the army headquarters in the city Al Fasher.
Videos circulated by the Rapid Support Forces depicting, according to the Sudanese paramilitary group, the capture of Al Fasher. "We've raised the flag of freedom," this fighter exclaims. Government troops offer a different account. What's not in dispute, however, is that Al Fasher is a linchpin in the fight for territorial control.
Hundreds of bodies piled on top of each other inside Sudan's only health facility in the city of Al Fasher. The Sudan Doctors Network reported Rapid Support Forces cold-bloodedly killed everyone.
We were horrified by reports of the tragic killings of more than 460 people, both patients and their companions, at the Saudi maternity hospital in Al Fasher.
At least 38 unarmed civilians have been executed by the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces in North Kordofan. That's according to the Sudan Doctors Network, which has described the incident as ethnic genocide.
Hunger, disease, the decline of essential services, they're all cumulatively taking a terrible toll. More than 30 million people, unbelievable, across Sudan now relying on humanitarian aid.
RSF is committing more and more atrocities and violations against the civilians. Al Fasher was under massive blockade and siege by the RSF for the last 550 days. There were no food, no medicines allowed to go into the city.
Can anyone here say that we did not know this was coming? We cannot hear the screams, but as we sit here today, the horror is continuing. Those able to flee, the vast majority women, children, the elderly, face extortion, rape, violence on the perilous journey.
The Sudanese army and the RSF have been vying for power since April 2023.
There are now fears that Africa's third largest country may be split again, nearly 15 years after South Sudan gained independence. That came after a civil war that killed 500,000 people. So far, this one has cost 40,000 people their lives and displaced 40 million others, creating the world's worst humanitarian crisis.
The RSF took control of Darfur and pushed east into Kordofan, with entire towns clearing out as they advanced.
Thousands of people are on the search for safety in another part of Sudan as the rapid support forces step up attacks on civilians. The group's now targeting North Kordofan state after seizing control of Al-Fashir, where mass killings have been reported.
Atrocities, mass executions, starvation, and the devastating use of rape as a weapon of war, with women and children bearing the brunt of the largest humanitarian crisis in the 21st century.
The International Criminal Court is warning that the Rapid Support Forces may have carried out war crimes and crimes against humanity in Sudan.
The killing spree was so grievous that satellite imagery analysis by Yale School of Public Health captured blood saturating the ground. Now the cleanup exercise has begun, with the RSF collecting bodies and digging mass graves.
What's happening in Al-Fashir, Sudan, is a mass killing that potentially may have already caused more fatalities than we've seen in the past 2 years of fighting in Gaza in less than 10 days.
An estimated 70,000 people are, thought to have fled Al-Fashir. Only a trickle, maybe 5,000, maybe 6,000 top, have arrived to Tel. We see a lot of family separation. We see families who arrive with children who are not their own. You know what that means? That means that the parents have disappeared. Maybe they've been killed, maybe they've been detained.
More are still on the move and facing severe shortages of food, water and shelter. The World Food Programme says nearly half the population are suffering from acute food insecurity.
Over 637,000 are facing starvation, which is the highest figure globally. Over a third of children across the nation are acutely malnourished. That's well above the UN's famine threshold.
A UN-backed hunger monitoring group, the IPC, has declared a famine in the Sudanese cities of Al-Fashir and Kaduguli, the state capitals of North Darfur and South Kordofan.
Al-Ubaid in North Kordofan could become Sudan's next main battleground.
The city is 300 kilometers from the capital Khartoum and remains the only buffer zone between the Sudanese army and advancing RSF.
Rapid Support Forces now seems to be shifting its focus towards Khartoum and the oil-rich Kordofan region.
Explosions have been heard near the capital Khartoum, and these blasts come just one day after the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces said that they had agreed to a humanitarian truce.
RSF are trying to push the Sudanese armed forces to negotiation table or to accept the truce by enforcing drone attacks on the major populated cities in Sudan.
Many states and multilateral blocs have tried to broker peace without success. Our correspondent Grace Kuria-Kanja was in Chad earlier this year, talking to some who fled Sudan.
What stood out for me was one story we did where you see me riding a horse cart. A very quick interview of about 5 to 10 minutes. I told him, just hold on, I need to do this here. So I'll just jump on, I'll say my lines.
I'm Grace Kuria-Kanja at the border.
That was with one of the Sudanese refugees in Chad. And it's interesting because that was not planned. It was not part of the stories that we were going to do in Chad, So we just, our fixer told us that, the border is just here, just a few kilometers from where we are. Why don't we go and just have a look at what's happening, So we go to the border and it's literally just a walking distance, to the other side of Sudan. And we see people trading, people engaging in trade. These are Chadians on the Chad side trading with the people in Sudan. You know, remember, they just can't go to another country just like that. But then these are a resilient people facing so much, being displaced from their homes, facing the war that I'm sure the world knows by now that's happening in Sudan. People who've been displaced, people who've had their loved ones killed, especially in their journey or on their journey from Sudan to Chad. But these are people who refused to give up. For me, the highlight whenever I go on any deployment is always about the people. You know, how warm they are, how welcoming they are. I mean, it's always difficult. I'm African, you know, this is home. I'm from Kenya. We're literally neighbors with Sudan. So whatever is happening touches all of us deeply, you know. I mean, I've been covering this story not just in Chad, but away from Chad here at TRT with Africa Matters on set. I mean, this is a story that I know so well. This is a story that has not just started today, right? But it's different reporting from the newsroom. It's different reporting from the newsroom and being on the ground and speaking to these people. It got to me. I was able to see the suffering that these people have gone through. I was able to see it firsthand, which goes back to what I said earlier, that reporting from the news desk here and going to the actual ground and seeing these things for yourself, it's different and it does something to you.
Staying in Africa, in another drawn-out conflict, the M23 rebels grabbed Goma in January, the provincial capital of North Kivu in the eastern DRC, in a sweeping offensive that reportedly killed thousands and displaced almost 500,000.
We're driving around Goma with William Goma. He tells us how this is now a safe city after the M23 takeover. This is what the rebels want you to see.
You must see the town of Goma. That is the peace now. Yeah. Everything is all right now. You see? Everything is all right. The kids go to school.
The fighting between the government of the Democratic Republic of Congo and armed groups is over territorial control and resources. Civilians, caught in the middle, are just trying to survive.
Sure, let the Americans buy up our minerals so that we can send our children to school. Otherwise, with Tshisekedi, we will die here. There are no schools here, no hospitals, no roads. You have seen the state of the roads. If the government takes over again, we will just continue to suffer. That's what Tshisekedi is doing despite our country's riches.
In July, the warring parties met in Doha and signed a U.S.-brokered agreement to make peace. In December, the U.S. also brokered a peace deal between the DRC and Rwanda, accused of backing M23 by Kinshasa. But so far, neither deal has exactly led to an end in the fighting.
Let's remember that these conditions were not new. It's not because of this current conflict. It's because of the nature of this prolonged, protracted conflict that has essentially drowned the DRC for decades. These workers here in Rubaya are carrying coltan. The one thing that really stuck with me on this particular assignment was just the resilience of the people, especially in the interiors. We traveled to the central part of the DRC, to a coltan mine. It really stuck with us how, despite the odds, how much color they have in life and how much their drive for daily happiness despite not having anything. And that is certainly something that sticks with you just as a human being, let alone a journalist. We went there to cover one aspect of it, and hopefully that gave an insight to the daily predicaments of the Congolese people.
2025 was also a big year for anti-government activism, and the face demanding change on the streets was that of Gen Z. Last year, students held huge demonstrations for weeks, and Bangladesh's parliament dissolved, inspiring young people across the globe tired of corruption and inequality. Youth-led mass protests spread from country to country, most notably in Morocco, Nepal, and Madagascar. The spark that lit the fuse in Nepal was a September social media ban, following viral discourse about the political elite's lavish lifestyle. Soon after, thousands mobilized, and nearly 80 people were killed in clashes between protesters and the police. In the end, Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli was pushed out, and the first woman to lead Nepal, former Chief Justice Sushila Karki, stepped in. In Madagascar, it was a similar story.
In Madagascar, soldiers have joined thousands of protesters in the capital after announcing they would refuse any orders to shoot demonstrators. After police used stun grenades and tear gas to try to disperse the demonstrators, soldiers arrived at the gathering where they were welcomed with cheers. The protests are largely led by a youth movement known as Gen Z Mada.
Madagascar's president says he is sheltering in a safe place to protect his own life. André Rajoelina did not disclose his whereabouts in his first public address since army units defected to join anti-government protesters. Opposition leader says that Rajoelina has fled the country. Some military units have joined young protesters, forcing the president to flee the country and claim a coup is taking place.
Ongoing protests, mainly in the capital Antananarivo, have left dozens killed.
Madagascar's military has announced that it has taken charge of the country and suspended the constitution.
They say that in a few days, they will set up a civilian government. So that is what the military unit just said.
Madagascar's military coup leader has announced he is assuming the position of ousted President André Rajoelina.
According to the ruling issued by the High Constitutional Court, I'm taking the position of president. These friends of mine are with me.
But ousted leader André Rajoelina is still fighting back from his place of hiding, insisting he is still president.
Madagascar's new military ruler, Colonel Michael Randirani-Rina, says he will be sworn in as president on Friday.
Colonel Michael Randirani-Rina has been sworn in as president by the country's constitutional court. The ceremony comes days after he announced his elite unit had taken power. The UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has condemned the change of government, calling it unconstitutional, and also calling for the return to law and order.
And a heavy-handed Trump came down hard on Latin America this year, leaning on Venezuela the most. His administration was especially unhappy with President Nicolas Maduro, who Washington designated a narco-terrorist in charge of terrorist drug trafficking cartels. The Trump administration revoked hundreds of thousands of Venezuelan visas, put a $50 million bounty out for Maduro's arrest, and began flexing military muscle in the Caribbean Sea.
The US president has confirmed he's held a phone call with Venezuela's president, Nicolas Maduro. This comes as the US military has deployed another aircraft carrier to the Caribbean amid escalating tensions with Caracas. Earlier, Donald Trump told pilots and airlines to consider Venezuelan airspace closed. The country condemned the move, calling it a colonialist threat.
According to the New York Times and the Miami Herald, they had several conversations the past couple of weeks. According to these newspapers, they say that Maduro said that he might be willing to give up power if he and his family are guaranteed safe passage out of Venezuela, and also if they are giving an amnesty for any crimes they have committed. President Trump refused that request, and he's intensifying troops and warships around the country. And this comes after we have reports from the U.S. Congress that there might be an investigation to see if the Trump administration blowing up fishing boats off Venezuela constitute a war crime.
Well, the White House says Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth authorized an admiral to conduct the US military strikes on an alleged drug boat in the Caribbean in September, which killed 11 people. This comes after a Washington Post report said that Hegseth allegedly gave a verbal order to leave no survivors behind after that strike.
I would reject that the Secretary of War ever said that. However, the President has made it quite clear that if narco-terrorists, again, are trafficking illegal drugs towards the United States, he has the authority to kill them. And that's what this administration is doing.
There are now 2 investigations into this, one in the House of Representatives, one in the U.S. Senate, so both ends of Congress investigating this. And you have members of Congress, even Republicans, who are saying that if indeed this was what's called a double tap, where you strike one location and kill people and then go back to kill any survivors, well, that would indeed be an international violation of international law.
The Trump administration started targeting boats in the Caribbean and Eastern Pacific in September, accusing them of smuggling illegal drugs from Venezuela and Colombia, as we've mentioned. Officials say more than 80 people have been killed.
From Caracas' view, however, it is Venezuela's sovereignty now at stake. And Washington believes Maduro's days are numbered. Voices opposing Trump's policy over Venezuela are already rising in the U.S.
Let me be clear. If Trump were to order an attack on land, that would be an act of war, and Congress would invoke the War Powers Act.
By the end of the year, the region had experienced its biggest military buildup in decades. More than 25 U.S. strikes on boats have killed around 100 people, and now Trump is raiding Venezuelan oil tankers. There's been no evidence to back up claims of destroyed boats carrying drugs, and experts say there's an ulterior motive.
Donald Trump announced a blockade on sanctioned oil tankers leaving and entering Venezuela. This was on Wednesday. And the US president continues to take a more menacing position on Venezuela, saying that the nation has stolen America's oil.
You remember they took all of our energy rights. They took all of our oil from not that long ago, and we want it back, but they took it. They illegally took it.
A day after U.S. President Donald Trump announced a maritime blockade of sanctioned Venezuelan shipping, and the standoff feels like it's in uncharted waters. It's unclear how the Trump team will block that shipping. It's much easier to do on land. And the New York Times reports that some Venezuelan tankers have been setting sail unimpeded with military escorts since Trump's announcement. The Trump team already seized one tanker last week, and Trump is making clear the blockade will remain.
And that's 2025 in Asia, Africa, and Latin America, where far more unfolded than any single episode could hold. Until next time.